I am starting The Stolen Heir right now. It's nighttime. It's late, actually. I was supposed to start earlier than this. So yeah, gonna try to go to bed like kind of soonish, like maybe half an hour of reading because I need to wake up early tomorrow. This book is starting with like a riddle sort of thing, and it's gonna take me forever to understand it. I have to read like riddles and poems like 5 times to understand what it's saying. Late at night, books like make me tear up easier, and this is just the beginning, but she's being taken away. Like, this little girl is being taken away from her family and taken into like the fairy world or whatever, and it's really getting me. This is so sad so far. I didn't expect to start crying on the 8th page. Although, I guess The Cruel Prince, the one that like this is kind of a spin-off of, that book in the very beginning was sad too. All of the main characters have endless childhood trauma. Alright, I just read for like a half an hour and I'm done for tonight. I'm on page 30. I'm hooked so far. Like, I'd read more if I wasn't as tired as I am right now. It's kind of how The Cruel Prince started, where like Jude was taken out of her home and so was Ren or Surin in the beginning of this. Her human family called her Ren, but then when she was like taken away by her like birth parents, who were terrible, they were king and queen of this place called the Court of Teeth, and they took her and they're like, you're queen, but they just like really treated her terribly. Then after they lost power, she was abandoned again, and now she's in the mortal world and she's running from people because people are after her. I've also started Kingsbane. This is the 2nd book in the Furyborn trilogy, and it's been like so long since I've read the first book. Not so long, but it's been like months. I started listening to the audiobook, and let me see, I don't even know like what page I'm on. I think I'm like 18% through, but it's like a very long book. The audiobook is like 20 hours long, so this one is going to take a while, but I'm actually really starting to get into it now. Sometimes when I start to listen to audiobooks, especially when it's a book like the Furyborn trilogy books, where they're kind of like very detailed and there's a lot of world building, it takes me a little bit to get into the audiobook. But once I get to a certain point, like once the story is really moving along, I'm just like sucked in, and that's kind of where I'm at with this audiobook. Hello. Okay, I have a little update. I know that I just completely didn't show myself reading Kingsbane, but I actually finished the book. Here it is. I really enjoyed the 2nd one. I didn't like it as much as the 1st one. This is part of a trilogy. First is Furyborn, and then Kingsbane, and then I'm pretty sure the 3rd one is Lightbringer. That is the one that I think I'm like most excited about, because after this one, there's really only more like up to go. Not because this one was bad or anything, but because like everything happening after this is like, it's all that everything has been building up to. So this was kind of like, felt like it was drawing it out a little bit long in some parts of it, and that's the reason why I don't think I liked it as much. But at the same time, this was a really good book. Like, especially a lot of big things I feel like happened for the romances in this book, but the ending is so frustrating. I feel like this book is just like breaks out of the box of what you think would happen, or like what you think is possible. Fantasy, I guess, does that a lot, but like this, it's just like it's not following something that I'm that used to, like where the plot is going, and it scares me because I feel like this is one of those books that can cause you so much pain when you get attached to the characters, and I just feel it coming on, and I'm scared. I have 36 minutes left in my This Vicious Grace audiobook, so almost done with that one. I'm gonna listen to it while I clean my room because I really have to clean my room, and I'm just gonna do a little montage of it. I did finish this Vicious Grace. I liked it. I don't want to give my full like thoughts on it right now because I'm kind of tired, so I feel like I won't really do that good of a job of saying what I think. What I'll say about the book though is that it was very enjoyable, and it was definitely like a romance heavy fantasy book. Like if you like fantasy books that have a lot of romance in them and that are YA, because I'm pretty sure that's YA, but it's like it's like the older YA type of vibe. So if you like that, then that's a really solid fantasy book to read. I think the concept is something that I haven't heard much of before. I mean, I guess I have heard things like that, but at the same time, the main girl's power is that she kind of like takes from other people's powers when she touches them, and sometimes it like ends up killing people. I thought there were some good plot twists, and it was like an interesting story, and it left off to where there's definitely a second book. I don't know if it's out yet, but there's definitely a second book and maybe even a third. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't think it's like one of my new favorites, but it's definitely one that I would recommend. I started reading or listening to another fantasy book audiobook because I was like, am I gonna have enough in here? Like I feel like I haven't shown that much so far, so I'm listening to Skyhunter. This is one of the books on my physical TBR, which I'm really just taking a bunch of books off of my physical TBR right now and reading them, and right now I'm like really happy about it because my physical TBR is like so small compared to how it used to be. I've just been reading from it constantly, so it feels so good to be just making a good dent into it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like Skyhunter. I think I might. There are these creatures that were humans, but they were like used as weapons. I don't know, they're trying to overpower these people, and she's on the side of the people who they're trying to overpower, and they're trying to use these human monsters they created to overpower them, and she's one of the people who helps fight them, and she's like really good at fighting and stuff. The monsters sound so creepy. The beginning of the book, they're like describing them, and I just was like, that is like my worst nightmare. That sounds like just a horror. So far A+ on the scary human monster thing. So funny story, I may or may not have listened to the entire audiobook of the second book, Steelstriker, like without vlogging a single bit of it. So the first one was like 5 stars for me. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like my favorite, but it was like one that I really liked a lot. The second one, I feel like that one I had was slightly harder to pay attention, but I still really liked it. Overall, I just really liked both of them, and I'd recommend that duology. I love when fantasy books are a duology because, I don't know, it's just like short and sweet, but then I still feel like I get to know the characters really well. The ratio of like action that was happening in it kind of reminded me of An Ember in the Ashes, but it had more romance throughout it. I feel like the thing that kind of got me on the second one is that, you know, when like there's kind of a long part of the book where the characters are separated from each other, that whole thing, I never really enjoy that very much. Like I love when a found family is just like together for most of it, and then like I feel like in most fantasy series there comes a time when like someone's separated from someone else, and I know it adds like the extra stakes and like just, I don't know, just like this moment of drama, which I do like, but at the same time I just was really wanting it to be like them together all the time. There's some found family in there, but I definitely think it focuses more on romance and found family. It's one of the only fantasy books I've read where like the parent is actually still in the picture. It's just like the main girl's mom, but she's like in it kind of a good amount, and I actually really liked that. I'm so used to there not being a parent in books. It's just cool seeing where she came from and like the person that she came from, and I don't know, I like that bit of it. Humans were turned into these skyhunters, and they have like metal infused into their body, and they get like these blade wings, and it's actually like, this book has one of the craziest descriptions of things ever. We are on to the last book, and I've been reading it a little bit. I'm on page 96, so I have kind of a lot left. I'm really liking it so far, and I know that people were saying this one's more romance based than like having that political part of it, and it definitely still has like the political aspects to it, but it is definitely a lot more romantic, and it has the same sort of thing in The Cruel Prince where they knew each other when they were younger, like they know each other growing up, but then they only really saw each other for a little bit. I feel like there's still bits and pieces that I don't know that are going to be like slowly revealed throughout the story. There's a lot of mystery surrounding Oak's character, and I feel like I kind of know where it's going, but I'm not sure, so we'll see. page 286 and I have like this much left, so I'm definitely going to finish it tonight. There were like a couple of points where I was getting slightly bored throughout it, but at the same time it was still a book that I would, if I hadn't read it but I knew the level I was gonna like it, I'd read it again, because the vibes of these books makes me so happy, and it just really, it's like ultimate escapism, and it just feels so good to read, and I just love the world. It has the vibe of like a group of people around the same age. I think it's like 18, 19, and then I don't know what the other guy's age is, but all of them coming together to go on this mission. Not exactly heist, but also kind of. There is something so gruesome and disgusting happening in the book right now, and I'm actually shocked that it's happening. Okay, I just feel really bad for the main character in this now. I finished it and I loved it. This was amazing. I think I'm going to give it like a 4.5 because I seriously love that ending so much. It's one of those romances, like romance stories, that makes my heart hurt, you know, like in the best way. Those are the best ones to read about because they just like pull me in so much. And I loved it. I just loved it. Also, I could just tell like the next books too were gonna be like so good, like where this one left off. I'm just so excited. Okay, I'm thinking about it now, so I'm just gonna start talking about it. I'll start with the stolen heir. Okay, so the main character, Ren, she has such a cool story arc. A lot of Holly Black's characters, if you've read The Cruel Prince, you know they kind of teeter on like, are they not evil, but like they're so morally gray, they're like on the line. By the end, Ren kind of goes from being like very pure-hearted, not saying she's not anymore, she starts showing her teeth a bit more by the end of the book. Yeah, I really like these characters. They were so fun to read about, and I think I just love all of like Holly Black's characters because they're so twisted. Like you don't know whether to like or not like some of them. That was so good, and I love her writing, and I love like the world that she writes things in. It's such like fairy tales, like the Grimm fairy tales or whatever, the ones that were like the scary versions, you know, that's what her books remind me of. The main characters, like at least Jude and Ren, they go through so much tragic things, but then they fight back and they absolutely become like the threat. I think it's important that young girls and just women in general, because I think it's important that I read stuff like this, but I just think it's important to read about characters who don't just have to always be kind and like make people happy, to be like good characters and like to be characters that are worthy of just going after like what they want and doing things for themselves, like sticking up for themselves. I think that's important for women to see in a character, and I love seeing that, and I love Holly Black's writing. Now for my thoughts on the rest of the books that I read in this video. Kingsbane, loved this one, didn't like it as much as the first one. I feel like there's just like some like filler areas or like some parts where they're trying to get to like the main point of what the whole like arc of the books together as a trilogy were gonna be. So I still really enjoyed this one, and this one felt like the most one that I was like emotionally invested in because there's just so much that happens, and it's such like a complex story, and you get really attached to the characters, or at least I did when I was reading it. And so I just know that the last one's gonna hit hard. If you are thinking about reading the Furyborn series, you should. If you want a series that's just like really good, it has like good romance, good action, like the plot, everything is there, you know? It just has like all the different things that you could possibly want in a fantasy book. This Vicious Grace was really good. I feel like this is the type of one where like it's like a normal sized book, but I feel like it was so short. Like I listened to it as an audiobook, and it's like only certain parts I remember, and I didn't become very attached to the characters. Like I really haven't thought about it at all much since I've read it. It's a promising book for like more books to come, but for me it didn't like hit very hard, this first one. Like I didn't feel like super in it. Like I liked the characters, but I didn't feel attached to them, you know? Like I never know exactly why that is, but I still really liked it. Thought the premise was interesting. It was like a fun read, but it just wasn't like, whoa, this is amazing. Kind of a mid book for me. Still decent, and I think a lot of people would like it though. I do think a lot of people would like it because it has like an enemies to lover story and it's like a bodyguard romance. I really liked Skyhunter. It really just has like so many YA fantasy tropes in there. I'd give it like a 4 or a 5 stars. I think I gave it like a 5. I feel like it would be like 4.5, and I like on Goodreads I'd probably round it up to a 5 and just say like 4.5. That's actually exactly what I did for the Stolen Heir. And yeah, I would say I don't think this one's better than the Stolen Heir in my opinion, but I also just love the vibes of the Stolen Heir, so I feel like I'm partial to it automatically because of that. When a book is good enough to have me picking up the second book immediately after, that is such a good sign. That is all for this reading vlog. This was a lot of fun. Definitely took longer than I thought it was gonna take, but that kind of always ends up happening, so I feel like I should just like expect that now. Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, or if you liked this one. My battery's about to die, so I'm gonna try to say this fast. I do other like book content like TikTok, Instagram, and TikTok, Instagram, oh my god, and Goodreads, and it's gonna be in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.